Hey there, it's Roddenberry555, and even though I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt, we're talking Trek. Star Trek, that is. And today I'll be reviewing the latest episode of Star Trek Strange New World, that being episode 5, Amok, was it Spock, Amok, or Amok, Spock? It doesn't really matter, it's episode 5, you know the drill. But, I gotta say this, I'll be honest, this is my least favorite episode of Strange New World so far. It was okay, but I just didn't care for it. So 4 out of 5 so far. Pretty good record of me liking. I know bad grammar though, but you know the idea. But really, the main reason why I didn't like this episode has to do with the central plot. And it's a Spock-focused episode. I knew we would get one eventually. But it's that central plot. A body swap episode. Sure, it's with Spock. It's Spock and his fiancée, T'Pring. Okay, they're trying to understand each other a bit better. Okay, that makes sense. They actually do achieve that better understanding by the end of the episode. But I'll be honest, I've never been a big fan of those outside of very strict, or not strict, but very select fantasy settings. In certain fantasy settings, I can handle that type of story. Normally that story can be, you know, a more of a soft magic system, or soft hard, doesn't really matter. But the thing is, if it's a type of hard magic system that basically means science, I have a bit more skepticism in handling those stories. Essentially, it's a kind of trope I'm not a big fan of, except for in very certain circumstances where the world makes it realistic. In Star Trek, I don't feel that. I don't feel like this is a realistic thing. Sure, we know the culture and all that, but it's just never been a thing I felt like could be a part of Star Trek. Sure, there's a sharing of minds, there's, you know how Spock's culture got McCoy, but that wasn't really a body swap. That's different. That's still along the sharing of the mind thing. This is not that. This is a swapping of the mind, or the souls. And in Star Trek, that's just not a thing I'm a big fan of. Sure, it works when you saw an android in there. Oh, my batteries just died. Roll with it. But yeah. Like, when that one episode of TNG did it, I wasn't a big fan of it either, but it at least worked a little better because you have android stuff going on. Okay, not a big fan of it. Now another thing, influencing the mind, that's a different trope, but a body swap trope in Star Trek, it's never really been my thing. I know I complained a lot, but I gotta be honest, it's just something I didn't like in the story. I'm just not a big fan of the trope, so it was never going to really fly with me unless it makes sense within the world, and it just doesn't make sense to me in Star Trek. You may disagree, and that is your right. You're entitled to disagree, in fact. But that's my main gist I want you to get down. But you know what? I don't want you to be all down. I want you to talk about some things I enjoyed. I mean, Chris Chapel nailed this episode. I know I got Spock in the thumbnail, but Chris Chapel was, I think, the MVP in this episode. And it's very much showing she has a crush on Spock. We knew that from the original series, but this is showing that she has a crush on Spock. We learned that in this episode she's not a big fan on long-term steady relationships, you know, not really settling down, but she does kind of do it if she met the right man, right person. She kind of drifted off when she was saying that, but then they cut to Spock, so I'm thinking, yeah, what it is, like, she knows who she would be willing to actually settle down with. Too bad Spock's not available for her, but that's the thing is, this is, I think, something. This is why I think she's the MVP of this episode, even though she's not the focus of the episode. Because we really get this insight into her that we never, ever got in the original series. Sure, we knew she was a good, competent nurse, but here we're really delving into her character in a way we had never gotten to explore before in Star Trek. And that's why I think she's really the highlight of the episode. So like I say, number one, Una and Sung just figure out that apparently the ensigns play a game called Enterprise Bingo, essentially designed to break the rules. I just gotta say that was just a nice fun aside. Just essentially two very serious characters trying to let loose for just off screen while everyone else is taking show leave. It's just a phenomenal scene and setting, and then how they go walking on the hall, but without any spacesuits, just because they're trying to like, maybe we're not having fun because we're not doing something risky enough and breaking the rules enough. it's just a good fun little aside, and of course, well, this wasn't a major part of the episode. We also had some diplomatic negotiations, and essentially that boils down to be able, in the message though, which connects very nicely to the main story because it involves Spock, which both those two stories do, but very much talking about being able to relate to other people and emphasizes them. That's why I liked how that message was conveyed via the diplomatic scene rather than Spock's relationship scene. Only because it's not because it was delivered via Pike, but because it was delivered via communication, via people talking with each other, rather than people actually swapping minds. Like, basically which Spock could have probably easily deduced this as well, but Pike, they were abrasive with the Tellarites, like the Tellarites were with them, unreasonable with us, like we were with reasonable with humans, like humans were reasonable with them, logical with Spock, like Spock was logical with them. So what he realized is so he was able to finish the negotiation favorably for the Federation by they like putting themselves in the other shoes. So in order to get them to agree with us, I have to put myself into their shoes and essentially say what they're thinking out loud to them. And that works. That is how essentially being able to relate to other people, why it works better in that situation than it did with a more, I'm going to say it, fantasy way that we're using the Vulcan culture and all that with Spock and the Brink. They work for me, not just because of I'm not a big fan of the trope, but because it was done so much better with that alien species. And it's not in the sense how sometimes it's done where the aliens are projecting onto us. No, it was us figuring out that's how they communicate and realizing we need to show that same level of empathy or understanding to them as they have to us. That is why it's so good, because Pike realizes he needs to adjust his behavior to successfully negotiate, not work around their behavior. So that's what I really like there. And I also gotta say, I just like how the Chief Medical Officer, I really wish I knew his name, but he's going fishing for his shore leave. I just like that. But that's all I have for you in today's review. I know it's not too much, but hey, it's my honest thoughts. Let me know your honest thoughts in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you. And also, you know the YouTube drill, like, comment, share, check out the links below, subscribe, follow, all the normal YouTube stuff, so I'm not going to go through it. But I would just want to say thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are, live long and prosper.